How you doing, everyone? It's Kevin. I'm back on another video. Today we're going to be working on a hydraulic cylinder. A lot of people will take these cylinders, like especially guys at home, will say, well, the cylinder's leaking, we're going to just go get it exchanged. Well, today I'm going to rebuild a hydraulic cylinder so you get an idea of what's inside and how hard it is to rebuild. Some of these could be a challenge, but then some of them can be pretty easy to do. A lot easier than you think. So I'm going to show you the cylinder that I'm going to be rebuilding and show you a tool that I actually had to make myself because I didn't have one. But I'm doing a few of these at my place of work right now, and I figured I'd bring one home and do a video on it and show you guys how I rebuild the hydraulic cylinder. So let's get to it. Alright, this is the hydraulic cylinder we're going to be rebuilding. If you notice on the front of this, right here, you can see it has some holes in it. And this thing has to be spun off. This is a big a bolt that goes down inside there. It goes down there about that far. And what I've done here, I didn't have a tool for it. So I just took a piece of 1/4-inch steel. I welded me a bar on here that would fit inside. This is just a solid stock that fits inside of there. So I could grip onto that and get that unscrewed. So that was a tool I had to make, which is not hard. I just cut it out with a set of torches and ground it off so I wouldn't cut my fingers. Now, we have a rebuild kit here. All you have, this is what rebuilds this whole cylinder. There's really not much to it. The only problem that we may find is if we have any nicks in our cylinder, this piece here, when you pull this out, this piece here, you don't want to have any nicks or scratches. If there's gashes in there, that might be a different story. I'm not so sure I could take care of something like that, but these do not have any. They were just leaking a little bit down around here. This dust cover on the outside, you had a little leak, so the plunger in here is just, this piece here has probably got a bad ring on it, so it's just coming through. Other than that, the cylinder's worked fine, but we're going to rebuild the whole inside of it. Let's get it over on the workbench and see if we can get this thing tore apart. Okay, first things first, we want to get this guy here loosened up. So we're just going to take our little tool, hook it in here, give it some nice light tap. Go ahead and get this guy unscrewed. Okay, now we got that loose, we should be able to pull this whole thing out. So there's what we got. We're just going to be putting all these rings back on here and getting this bad boy put right back down in there. Now before I get started on that cylinder, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take, I've got some old socks here, I'm going to use them as rags. I'm going to wipe all this stuff off the outside edge here. I'm going to clean this up real good. One thing we don't want to do is get anything down inside there. We don't want nothing to fall inside there. No dirt or anything like that, because that could mess up our O-rings later down the road. That cylinder looks really good inside. There's no scratches in there, no grooves or anything. Basically, this is just like rebuilding a motor for a motorcycle or anything like that. You're looking for deep gouges or anything. Let's see if I can let you look down inside there. That's just the inside of the cylinder. Just like I said, I look for deep gouges or scratches or anything like that. I don't see anything in there. This shows a lot of wear on this cylinder. Alright, since I got this all cleaned up here and it all looks pretty good down in there, I may even take a clean rag and wipe that out inside. But I'm just going to take one of these socks and lay it over the top. That way I don't have to worry about anything getting down in there when I'm working on something else. I don't want anything inside there, so we're going to cover it up. gonna wipe off some of the oil on this thing so it'll be easier to work on. I could see pieces of the dust cover one in the front here falling out, so I'm gonna just go ahead and clamp this thing up in the vise here. Now I gotta work on getting this nut here off. Once I get this nut off, everything should come off this direction. Alright, we're just going to take an impact wrench and see if we can get this bolt off. I'm sure it's pretty tight on there. Alright, so now we got that off. One thing about these, when you're doing these, is you don't want to get in a hurry. You want to take your time. You're doing something here that you want to work out for you. So we have a little O-ring right here. I pulled this off straight off this way. I noticed that the flat end here goes down. That's how I pulled it off. That's the way we want to put it back on. You want to make sure you notice everything you do when you do this. So that's the way it's going to go on. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to flip it over, and I know this O-ring goes on the bottom. So I'm going to lay this on the table. I'm going to lay the O-ring on the bottom here. It's got a little groove in there. So we're just going to lay it on the table like that so we know that we didn't do anything, and we're going to put that O-ring down. Now this piece here, this piece should slide right off the bottom. And as far as this thing goes here, we're almost done. We're going to wipe it off, make sure there's no dirt or anything on there that we might have got on there, and we'll do this again and again until we put it together. We don't want any dirt on that cylinder. I will clean this thing again before I put it together. Try to notice on your shaft to see if there's any big nicks or gashes. Sometimes I've seen times where if it wasn't too bad, we could take a little bit of sandpaper and take a burr off there. But you know, that's if you don't want to get a new one or rebuild one, or if you don't want to get one professionally done. But I've seen times, you know, it might have been a little burr there would mess up our ring. You could take a little sandpaper, but other than that, I wouldn't do too much to these. This in here looks really good. Don't look like there's anything wrong with it really at all. So we're going to go ahead to get start rebuilding some of this. Alright, first one I'm going to work on is this guy right here. I'm going to wipe this cylinder or this piece off, get it cleaned up a little bit. Just so I can see what I'm doing. Now if you look in here, you can see the outside ring. It's all dry rotted and cracked. Look, this is how it's going to come out. It's bad ring on here. More than likely this is the guy that's really giving us our problem, but I thought at first that this was just a dust ring here to keep dirt and grit out of there. So I don't know that it does a whole lot, but I'm sure it helps that there's another O-ring down inside there. So we're just going to get this out of here. Now that's the first ring out. Clean our table here a little bit. Now we have another ring down inside there. We also have a ring on the outside. So let's take the easiest one first. Let's get this O-ring on the outside off. Now I want to keep these O-rings off to the side, the ones that go to this piece here. We've got another ring. Now there's two rings on this, they're just not one. We have another one right here, but we have to remember that this round one went on the lower side. It goes on the downside, inside the cylinder. So when I take them off, I'll lay it down, and then I'll take this one off, and I'll lay it right on top of that one. Okay, I'll lay this off to the side here. Now, those are the two rings that are going to go on the outside. That other ring that goes on the inside, I can see it in the pack there, so I know which one it is. Now, I have a ring down inside here. Let me see if I can give you a little close up of the ring down inside. There's a ring right in there. Let me see, I can get you more light here. It's hard for you to see that. But right there is that ring. So we got to get that ring out of there. It's a little tougher ring to get in and out, but we will get it. Right there it is. You can see me pulling up on it. So we're going to get that ring out next. If I take this little pick, put it in the side of that ring, take a screwdriver, put in behind that, and I'll keep working at it until I get this guy out of here. And it looks pretty bad too. There's that ring there. These two here are the ones definitely was giving us the problem. So we're going to set that one down right beside these guys. And like I said, we'll know. One nice thing about this, if you guys are doing this and you can't remember what way this goes back together, do a video of it. I know for sure I'm going to get it back together because I'll just look at that video. If I get confused somewhere, I'll just look at this video and I'll go right back to it. So I'm not going to make any mistakes because I got backup on my side here. So I'm just going to take this guy and I'm going to clean this up real good. And I'm going to take a little wire brush, go down in here. I'm going to take a wire brush and clean out this inside here where this outside ring goes. And then, see, there's a lot of grit and rust down in here. You want to make sure you get all that stuff out of there. Go all the way around that thing. This is the outside ring that's been in the weather. That's why it busted up and tore to pieces on us. So we're going to clean it all out, and then I'll get you guys back in here when I get this all cleaned up. It's nothing more than scraping the rust off of it and wire brushing it down. Okay, I got this cleaned out pretty good where that outside ring goes in there. I didn't want no garbage down in there. It had a lot of rust in there and just a lot of stuff you don't want in there. Now I have another ring here. This is where our other two rings go in there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just take a brass brush. This brass brush won't mess with this at all. And I'm going to take that brass brush around the inside of that so I can clean any debris that might be down inside there. Alright, now that I got that all out of there, got this end cleaned up, the inside looks really nice in there. I'm going to take some ether and I'm going to spray this. I'm going to clean this piece up and then I'm going to get it something good to lay on here. When we put this thing back together, we want to make sure we got a clean surface to work on. So we're just going to go ahead and wash this thing up a little bit with some ether. Wipe it off real good. So what I'm going to do is I got some hydraulic fluid here. I'm going to take some hydraulic fluid and I'm going to put on this ring. I want to make sure the ring and the inside where this guy's going to go has got plenty of hydraulic fluid on it. So help it slip a little bit more. If you notice, this thing is as big as that hole. And it's got to go down in there some way. One way or another, it's got to get in there. So we're going to take our time here, and if it takes too long, I'll get you guys back in here, but hopefully I can get it right in there. So we got us a bunch of hydraulic fluid down in there. Now we're just going to work this guy down in this hole. Hopefully we can do this. It's a bit tight. Now that is the hardest ring to get in. If you can get this one in, you're in good shape. All right, we're in. Now we just got to make sure that it seats all the way back in there. You want that thing to seat back in there real good. That was a pain in the butt. It's hard to see. My light battery went dead on my light. You can see the ring down in the middle here. It's in. It was tough. Don't get me wrong. I ain't gonna lie to nobody. That thing was tough. Hurt my thumbs, but I took a rag and I ended up laying a rag on it. My fingers wasn't slipping after I put a rag on it. So you may want to try to put a rag on there. Just, it'll go. It's going to take time. But if you want your cylinder built, you're going to have to take time and do it. So now we're going to work on this little seal right here. We're going to put some Earl on her too. Put a little bit of oil on this one. Get it slipped up into that slot right there. Pushed it back a little bit here. Here it is. Alright. We got that one in now. You just want to make sure it seats all the way around, because if it doesn't seat in there, you're going to have even more of a hard time getting this guy down on your cylinder. Or down on the shaft. Okay, so now we're going to turn it over and we're going to do these two pieces here. We got our flat one, we want it on first, and then we want our O-ring on last. So let's get into our little rebuild kit here. We're going to pick out the two rings that we need. And it's going to be these two right here. So we don't want to mix them up with those over there, so we'll keep them separate there. Here again, we're going to put a little oil on these. Make sure we get oil all the way around these guys and get it slipped on. Okay, that's our first one. Going to put it over to the side here. We want it down on first. So I'm just running that screwdriver flat on that thing so it'll push it down. I'm not trying to mess with the rubber. Okay, now we're going to do this one here. Same way. Get it right down on there. Make sure it's on the bottom side of that ring down there. Okay, I would say we successfully rebuilt this end of that cylinder. So now we're going to go ahead and we're going to do that one there. I'm going to set this off to the side. And this is going to be our next one. So we're going to pull this O-ring out. We're going to get rid of all this stuff here I had for the first one. I'm going to set it out of the way so we don't get it mixed up with what we're doing now. So greasy job. We know we got an O-ring. I have one O-ring left in the bag, small one. I know where that one goes. So I'm going to set it over here off to my left. Now we have 3 rings on here. I have 3 rings here. Actually, I got 4. One's on the inside of that one. So there might be one on the inside of this one. This one's split. You can see it split. And this one's split. Looks to me like this one's going to go in the center, and this one's going to go on the end, and that one on the end. So we're going to go ahead and pull these guys out.
I'll look for that crack in it. Here, this one's right here. It's basically like rebuilding a motorcycle. There's one ring. I'll set it off to the side here. See if we can get this middle one out. Which might be a little bit harder, but I think we can get it. Got it off one side. Oh, there you go. There's the other one. And our little black one inside there is in here, so we'll take him out while we're down in here. Okay, there's our little one that goes in the center. And then we got one more on this end. We'll get him taken out next. Now, just like I said, don't forget where all these rings go. Now I'm going to take some ether. I'm going to clean this up. I'm going to get a clean rag and we're going to wipe it off. Same way we did the other one. And then we'll put some oil on it. Try to get us a clean surface to work on here. Yeah, clean. So I'm going to go ahead and spray this down with some ether. Okay, we got a clean surface to work with here. Make sure there's nothing on there that's going to hurt anything. Wipe out each one of our grooves. Alright, we're going to put some oil on it just like we did the other ones. Get it all around there. I'm going to put this one on first. I start on one side, work my way around. And then we're going to put on our little one here. I'm going to put that one in the middle. And as you go down towards the middle, they get a little tougher, but you'll be fine. This one here is going to be the toughest one. I can see that already. So, but we'll get her. I'm going to try it from this side, see if it's a little easier. Well, it's definitely easier on that side, so don't try to put it over that ring, that first ring. This worked out. Seems like it's going to work out a lot better. Alright, now we got that one on. Only one we got left is this guy here. And our little O-ring. Some oil down there. Start with one side, go right around, snap her in there. Now, you'll see that there's a little splice in this one right here. You can see it. What I don't want to do is line this one and this one on that side in the same place. We want to have them across from each other, one on this side and one on this side. The little splice, let me show you here. There's a little splice right there, you can see it. Now my other splice, if I held my thumb right here, should be right over in here. So we could turn it just a little bit, just so they're not lined up together. We don't want these lined up together. And that's basically where you build a motor too. Don't want them lined up. So now the only thing we got left is our little O-ring. Same way, a little oil on it. Put it down into place there. So now we got all of our bushings in. Now we got to put this guy back together. This is where we had some trouble, but I'm going to show you how I fixed it. Okay, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take some oil, some hydraulic oil, and I'm going to put all over this shaft. We made sure we wiped it off. There's no grit, no nothing on there. It's just nice and clean. Now, the hardest part besides that one bushing, that's tough, but this here is even tougher. So we got this piece here now, we got to go down on here, okay? Now, we just slid it off. You guys see me pull it off. Pushing it back on is it's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. I tried and I couldn't do it. So I was sitting there, I was thinking, why not throw a washer on this, center it up, make sure that thing's going straight down on there, and then we'll take this bolt and we'll use this as a wheel puller. It's just like a puller, but it's going to be kind of like a press for us. So we're going to screw that nut down on there, and that's going to make sure that this guy is going straight up and down. So now I'm just going to take a wrench. I'm not going to use the impact. I got bushings in there and stuff. I'm just going to take a wrench and I'm going to start tightening this thing. Now, I couldn't push it down on, and trust me, I don't think you will either, because this is going to be so tight going down on there. Once it gets down and breaks loose, it should just slide right down on the shaft. But it's going to be a lot tighter than the old one. Okay, we might have bottomed out there. We'll pull this back off. See how much further I got to go. Now I could just keep adding washers until that thing goes all the way down on. Alright, I'm having a hard time finding those washers, but we got another one on there. We'll see if we can get it with it. Okay, there we are. Now we got that down on there. Let's take this all back off. We'll put our top piece on there next. This is the plunger that works back and forth. I better put the O-ring down on here first. Then we'll set this guy right back down on top of there. Don't forget which way it went on. This part went up, flat went down. Now we're going to snug this guy here up. This is a greasy job, for sure. That's pretty tight. I don't think we're going to have any problem with this cylinder. Now all I'm going to do is I'm going to get the other piece, clean it out a little bit, and go ahead and put some oil in it, and then stick this back in it. And then we'll have a freshly rebuilt hydraulic cylinder. Okay, we're back where we started with the sock still on the top. We don't want nothing down in there. Get us a clean rag. We're going to wipe it out. That's a nice looking cylinder in there. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some oil in here, go around the sides. Make sure that this thing is not dry when it goes together. Same way with this piece. I'm going to put some oil on it again. Some good oil on there. And stick her right back down in this hole. We don't want to be hard with this. It's going to be a little tight. Okay. Now we're going to put a little bit of oil on this. I'll just go around the inside of this. Put a little bit up here. Then we're going to slide this guy down on here. Now we're going to start retightening. But I'm going to clean my hands first. My goodness. Alright, we're going to take our homemade wrench. We're going to stick it on here. Now we're going to start tightening. Alright, our cylinder has been successfully rebuilt, so we're good on this cylinder. It should be fine. Well, we just rebuilt a hydraulic cylinder on video, which I thought was pretty cool. And you know, I love doing these little videos to show you that you know, you could do this stuff. You just have to sit down and think about it before you do it. Like making the tool, for instance. You know, I knew I didn't have a tool. The first thing I did is start running around the shop looking for metal because I'm going to make my own tool to tear these apart with. And I think I come up with a pretty good one because it works. And that's all that counts. It doesn't have to be pretty. It just has to work. So, you know, don't think you can't do these yourself. You may have to contact the company that the cylinder come off of and tell them which cylinder you want to rebuild, and call them up and tell them, say, hey, I need a rebuild kit for this cylinder on this part of the machine. And they send you a rebuild kit. It's not that big of a deal. Now, if you say you get one from Tractor Supply or somewhere like that, you know, and you want to get it rebuilt, you have it on your log splitter or something, it's leaking, and
well, just get a hold of Tractor Supply or whatever company makes that machine and tell them you need a rebuilt kit for the cylinder. And then take your time. Now, not all of them have this type of bolt on the top of it to where you have to build your own. Some of them may have a nut on there. Some of them may have big rods going down through. And all you got to do is break all them rods loose. It's basically the same as this here. It's not that big of a deal. Where you come into problems are the scarring of the shaft, the scarring inside the cylinder. If those are scarred up, you may want to replace your cylinder. Just replace the whole thing. That's probably what I would do because I don't have the machines to fix any of that. I don't have the honing machine or anything like that to clean up what's wrong with it. Personally, I think most cylinders, you're going to get away with just rebuilding them. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to subscribe. Leave me thumbs up, thumbs down, or a comment if you'd like. And don't forget, if you guys want the alerts to the channel when I put up a new video, just click the little bell down there. Hey, till next time.